Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and it's springtime, and there's so much to be grateful for, and so much hope in the air. So much hope in the air with the flattening of the curve, with COVID, and the prospect of getting back to somewhat of a normal routine, although who knows if it'll ever be as normal as it used to be. Who knows, maybe it'll be even better, right? So there's lots of lessons learned from what we've been through. So perhaps we're in the process of up-leveling our lives, certainly our connections with family, and certainly our consciousness of how many things can be done on Zoom. So there's a lot of good things that have come from this. And of course, if you've lost somebody or you've struggled with your health, I am so sorry. And my heart goes out to you. So I want to talk today about something really, 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 I think, close to the mind and heart of an emotional eater. First, I want to say that if you have not joined us in the Secret Sauce group, that's where it all goes down. So join us, go to Facebook and type in the Secret Sauce and Emotional Eating. That's where we have really wonderful support and posts and interviews and all kinds of classes and things. You'll be the first to hear the announcements. So definitely check out the Facebook group, The Secret Sauce and Emotional Eating. And also, if you're at the Heal Your Hunger show listening for the first time, do you know that you can actually take a quiz to find out whether you're an emotional eater or a food addict? So go to healyourhunger.com and you'll see the quiz. Take the quiz. It's totally free, but you'll get a very clear score of where you stand on the spectrum of emotional eating. Because in my experience, a whole lot of people on this planet are emotional eaters when it comes right down to it. And I think this pandemic, more than any other time in the world, has been an opportunity for people to really get what emotional eating is. Just go into the kitchen when they are not hungry whatsoever and munching out. I have so many friends who are like, Tricia, Katie, bar the door. I have not been able to stop eating. And they're normally not even understanding the concept of emotional eating, but they're getting it now. So we're in really good company right now. But of course, it's a spectrum because not everybody loses control the way I certainly did, having been 50 pounds overweight and a massive binge eater where I could pack away 3,000 calories in a sitting. I'd get all my goodies and sit in front of the TV and completely zone out and feel disgusting afterwards. So if you're somebody who relates to losing control and perhaps the consequences are mounting in your life, whether it be an effect on your job, on a relationship, on your libido, on your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your wardrobe, if the consequences are piling up, because you can't stop eating, guess what? You have found a home and you've found a place where we understand. I certainly have been there, and so many people who come to the Heal Your Hunger show are in that same boat. And guess what? There's a way out. There's absolutely a way out. And I have clients who are breaking free every single day from the compulsion to overeat, and they have a sense of control in their lives, and they're so many things happen when you are no longer in the food binging and stuffing yourself and stuffing your emotions. I mean, it's not just your food that changes. It's not just your body that changes. Oh my goodness, your self-confidence, the way you carry yourself, the way you feel about yourself, the way other people see you, the way other people hear you because you begin speaking up. There's so many things that my clients are learning things that have nothing to do with food. And yet these are things that are directly impacting their lives and making it easier not to overeat. So that's some cool stuff. So I'm glad you're here. It's really wonderful to have you here, and I hope you'll keep listening. And maybe even rate the show and tell us, give us some 5 stars if you can. That would be a super big help. So thank you for that. Okay, so what I'm going to jump in with today, and I'm going to cover it real quickly because I know you're busy, overeaters or overdoers, and even though you might be still quarantined at home, I bet you've found a way to pack your schedule. So I know I have. So what I want to talk about is something that was inspired by a client the other day, and she just was commenting on, I think, her realization of how much this condition of being an emotional eater, and food addicted, how much this has taken over her thought life, and I think it was just such a way of life for her before that it didn't occur to her. Like it was, thoughts about food and her weight and what she weighed and what she was going to weigh tomorrow and what she weighed yesterday or what she ate yesterday or what she was going to eat today. All those thoughts completely hijacked her thinking, but it was so much a part of her thinking that it didn't even seem abnormal, So now that she's breaking free, now that she has a way of no longer being in the food, no longer having all those crazy thoughts, she's starting to get a little perspective and see, oh my goodness, like how obsessed I have been. And ain't that the truth, And so I'm here today to talk about the obsession with food and weight and where it really comes from and how you can overcome it, of course. But she really, she was so kind of overcome with just emotion when she realized, oh my goodness, my whole life, like I've been obsessed, like completely obsessed. And what a self-obsession it is. And it really is. And I was so proud of her for just even having that awareness, because that means she's getting a little bit of distance from it to be able to stop and look at it. It means she's pulling out of it a bit. So I was really excited about that. And it just made me think, this is a worthy thing of talking about, because it's bad enough to be a slave to food in terms of eating and binging and, going overboard and then trying to control your weight and then trying to get rid of the effects of what you ate and trying to eat right and waking up each day, with a promise to do better, all that. But it's not just the eating, that's a major problem here. It's the thinking, okay? And it's really important to talk about this, because an addiction is not just about the actual substance, okay? If you're food addicted, you're not just addicted to the food, you're addicted to a frame of mind and a way of thinking. And the obsession with food and weight is as much of a problem as the eating of the food is, okay? If not more so, because we don't eat 24/7, right? We eat when we eat, okay? When we have a binge or when we go overboard, when we have dinner and then we don't stop eating, okay? That's time spent actually eating. But think about all the hours that are spent thinking about eating and thinking about what to do about what we ate. So if you think about it, if you were to create a pie chart, with a certain amount of that pie devoted to eating, it'd be a small sliver, because we can only eat so much, unless you're bulimic and you can eat a lot more, but still you can only eat and purge so much in a day. So the rest of the day, so let's say we could eat, what are there, 24 hours a day? Let's say our eating is maybe 4 hours of that day spent actually eating. And that's a lot. It's probably more like 3 even. And I eat fast, okay? So let's be clear. It could be 2. So, I can look at something and you could blink an eye and it'd be gone. But, so here's the thing. Let's just, let's say we could spend 3 or 4 hours eating. That is, that's a sixth of a pie. If it's 4 hours, it's a sixth of that pie. Let's say we're sleeping for 6 of those 24 hours, okay? So, so here we have 4 hours actually eating, 6 hours sleeping. All right, so if I'm doing my math right, that's 14 hours when we're awake and not eating. How are you spending those 14 hours? And how many of those hours are spent thinking about your weight? Somebody told me the other day, she said, I wake up in the morning and at first I'm just like, la, 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 the first moments of consciousness, it's like, oh, it's another day. And then the dread that she has to diet that day, that she has to try to not eat and she has to eat diet food. Like the dread, that just the dark cloud that descends upon her after she realizes it's another day, it's another attempt at dieting, and how depressing that is for her because diets aren't working for her. She's going to try, but it ain't working. So, how much time, I'm sure you don't see her and think, how much of the pie chart do I spend thinking about food? But let's really get a good thought. When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? When you put on your clothes in the morning, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking, oh my God, like, are my pants going to fit? Or, oh my God, I got muffin top. Or, oh my God, I don't want to look at myself in the mirror because I binged last night. And the last thing I want to do is see the result of that binge, Oh my God, I'm going to get on the scale and, it's going to determine my fate. Am I a good person or am I a bad person that day? Is there hope or is it another dismal day based on what the scale tells me? And then you go through the day, oh my God, who's going to see me? Who's going to see me? Who's going to see my puffy face from the binge that I had the night before? Who's going to see that my clothes don't fit me? If you're headed back to work, when it comes time to go back to work after COVID, who's going to notice that I've packed on the quarantine 15? What are they going to think? How many times in the day are you wondering if people are noticing the rolls in your tummy? Or how many times you're going to the break room, to eat or to get something from the vending machine? Or, what you're going to get on the way home from work. You see what I'm talking about? Like, there are so many moments spent, if not hours in the day, spent spinning our wheels thinking about us. It's like there are so many thoughts about food and weight that consume us when we're not healed, when we're living the life of an emotional eater who's out of control with food. And isn't that tragic? And that's really what I want to talk about here is, the other day my client was just sort of coming to a real aha about how self-consumed she is. And she's a very spiritual person. She has a strong faith in God. And it was dawning on her that she's completely self-obsessed, and that's not the way God wants her to live, and even though emotional eaters are amazing givers, we love to give, we love to caretake, we love to think about others, when we're thinking about ourselves and how much we weigh and how much, we wish we weighed and hating ourselves for what we weigh, when we're caught in that trap, that hamster wheel of self-obsession, we really can't be there for other people. It's really a travesty that with all the talent that we have, with all the skills that we have, with all the heart that we have, we're wasting it, on a daily basis on self-obsession, obsession with food and weight. So this is a wake-up call, okay? So, it does not have to be this way. If you're caught in that trap of self-obsession, I tell you, you can get out of it. It does not have to be that way. But first you got to see it, right? Awareness is the first step here. Recognizing how deep this thing goes and how much of a part it's playing in your life. How much of the pie chart of your day is spent thinking about your relationship with food, with your body. Okay, so that's the first step, is to recognize that. How much a problem is it? So let's talk about that obsession, though, because it's a symptom. It is a symptom of being an emotional eater. Any emotional eater is obsessed with food and weight. It's part of being an emotional eater, okay? So it's just, you're not bad and it's not your fault. If you're an emotional eater, just a fundamental part of that is not only emotionally eating, but obsessing about food and weight. That's the other part of the deal. So it's and it's all, there's a physical aspect to it. Definitely sugar and carbs. Most emotional eaters have a physical addiction to sugar.
and to carbs. Okay, carbs metabolize as sugar. So if they're addicted to carbs, it's because they're addicted to sugar. Okay, so if you're a serious carb addict, you could sum it up as saying you're a sugar addict, which, by the way, I'll just drop a little note here that I am going to be helping with sugar addiction very soon. So stay tuned. Make sure you're on my email list. Make sure you're in the secret sauce group so you find out first and can be the first to get on board with letting go of sugar in your life, because I'm going to support you in that very soon. So where does that obsession come from? Why is that so much a fabric of our lives? And I'm going to tell you, food obsession, weight obsession, self-obsession serves the same purpose as food addiction serves, okay? So when we're eating for three primary reasons, okay? The umbrella emotions. If you've been with me any amount of time, I could quiz you on this and you know exactly what I'm going to say. Food serves as a painkiller to kill pain, emotional pain. It serves as a form of escape to squelch emotions of fear and anxiety. And it's a form of punishment to punish ourselves on account of guilt. Very, very deep-seated sense of guilt and unworthiness. Okay, so pain, fear, and guilt, the three primary drivers of emotional eating, and the three primary drivers of food and weight obsession. Okay, so it's not just the eating act that stuffs these emotions, it's the thinking act as well. Okay, because when we're caught up in that noisy place of, am I fat? I look fat, my butt looks fat. Let's look at my butt in the mirror. The whole thing, all that noise that goes on in our head is as much a painkiller and a form of escape and a form of punishment as the eating of the food is, okay? And so that's exactly where it comes from. It is a painkiller, it's a form of escape, and it's a form of punishment, just like any other addiction is for the addict. So if somebody's an alcoholic and they're addicted to alcohol, they're using alcohol for those same three primary reasons: painkiller, escape, and punishment. I call it the PEP test. Okay, you can take the PEP test at any time to kind of take a little look at what's going on if you want to go to the refrigerator 10 times in the day. Might not be about the food, it might be something deeper. You can take the PEP test. But it doesn't matter what the addiction is. It doesn't matter what the substance is. It doesn't matter what the obsession is. So that's where the obsession comes from, is it's serving a purpose in your life. And the beautiful thing is that if you address emotional eating and you start addressing those underlying causes, and when you become versed in a new way of caring for yourself, in a new way of addressing deeper emotions, that obsession lifts, okay? But you got to have a system for addressing those deeper emotions. You have to, because those emotions, they need an outlet. But if we deal with those emotions and those emotions lose their power, then the obsession will lose its grip as well. Okay, am I making sense here? You picking up what I'm laying down here? Okay, when you deal with the emotions, the power of those emotions lessen, and if you keep dealing with them, they'll diminish to the point where they don't have any power over you, and they no longer transmute themselves in the form of obsession. Okay, in the form of all that noise. But you've got to have a way of addressing those emotions. You have to, or the obsession will persist. And the problem with diets, and problems with any kind of thing that's superficially addressing your food and weight issue, and there's a jillion of them: exercise plans and pills and potions and lotions and food plans and diets and, whatever else. Those things are all superficial and they address the symptom of weight, but they're not going to deal with those underlying emotions, which means you may be losing weight, but what's going on between your ears is not going to be changing much. Okay, in fact, you may become more self-obsessed. That's why you don't want to attack the problem at the symptom level. You don't want to go on another diet, because you're going to end up in the same place of maybe by hook or by crook losing weight, but nothing will have happened with your mind and that terrible obsession with food and weight, And also with all those emotions that you ate over in the first place, if those aren't addressed, ultimately the power of those emotions will find their way and you'll break out in a binge. So the only hope, in my experience, I've been doing this for over 30 years, the only hope is to address the underlying causes and to have a very specific system for addressing those emotions and then having a way of lessening your stress, of having a new source of coping, new source of coping skills, so that you no longer have to use food as your go-to for all your emotions. I hope this is making sense. I'm not 100% sure it is. It makes perfect sense to me, of course. It's the language that I speak in, but hopefully it is to you as well. So you got to have a system. What I want for you is to be able to really address and heal the underlying causes, really get underneath that food compulsion so that you can find peace, and not just peace with food, but peace in your mind. Okay, equally important, because if you're losing weight, but you're still completely obsessed between your ears, it's going to drive you nuts. And eventually you're going to be like, I cannot take it. I need peace. I'm going to numb out on these carbs and sugar, because at least for a moment, between the carbs, the sugar, and the TV, and whatever else, the internet, I'm going to have some peace momentarily. Okay, so addressing that obsession is just as important as addressing the actual food, and you've probably either done this or seen this, where somebody is losing a lot of weight, but they've channeled that whole force of emotions into a new obsession, like exercise, or some kind of sport, being a triathlete, or a pro something, that obsession that gets channeled into something else, workaholism, whatever it is, that they're still obsessed. Okay. And so you may say, well, at least they're not eating. But for me, I want to be free all the way, not just with my food. I want to be free in my mind. I want to have peace. I want to have a truce where my mind can be quiet, and our mind is never totally quiet, but at least that driving obsession and obsession with self. I'm just here as your conscience tapping on the door saying, hello, you can be free. There's a new way of living that you can enjoy where you're free of food and free of the obsession with food and with weight. So thank you so much. I'll see you in the Secret Sauce group, okay? And soon I'll see you in my upcoming thing that I'm not yet telling you what it is, to overcome sugar. And I will see you in the next show. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.